Hey, welcome back to another episode of Building Digital Products with Tim and Sofia. Sophie, it's a kind of a hot night and she's not joining me on the couch tonight, so I'm sorry if you don't get your charming dose of Sophia tonight. But let's talk digital products. So, in our last episode, we talked about measuring demand for things. And we talked a little bit about the idea of measuring usage to see how much people are actually using the things that you built. That's really important because a lot of software that is developed never gets used or gets used very little. I've experienced that myself. In my first company, I developed a couple of different products that never really saw the light of day. I mean, we got into testing them, but they never got out there into the real world, which was, a disappointment to me. And it's a lot of wasted time and effort when the things that you build don't actually go out into the world and do something good. Which is why it's so important to try to measure that demand before you build. Because if you can save 6 months of developers' time, that's a huge savings, and that's a huge opportunity gain to go work on something else. But once you've developed the thing, how do you know how well you're doing? You want to know how much did it cost to build that, and then also how much are people actually using it, and how much value is it bringing to you or to the people that it's meant to serve. So talking about cost accounting, there are a number of ways people try to approach this. At my company currently, we're using time tracking, basically. So when I start working on a task in my project management software, I can just press play, and we're tracking time now while I'm working on that task, and then I can pause it when I leave that task. That's the way we're currently approaching it. There are other ways you could do it. I mean, I'm not in love with this because it's pretty manual. You have to go in and clock in and clock out on a given task. It can be accurate if you're really disciplined, accurate-ish. But there are other ways. I mean, you could look at the Git log. So our developers are continually committing code to our code repository, and those interactions could be tracked and measured back to a given feature that you're developing for, to try to get a sense for how much effort went into developing that feature. And perhaps the best way of doing effort tracking would be a combination of a few things. Maybe you're doing some time tracking, maybe you're doing some commit tracking, maybe you're counting lines of code, so a number of these things feeding in might ultimately be the most sort of accurate way of accounting for the effort that goes into building any given feature. The software that's out there right now doesn't really map your effort back to specific features. So I had to kind of engineer that myself. We use Monday for our project management software. So for each dashboard item, each card in Monday, we're tracking effort on that. A lot of those cards are mapped to specific features because we mentioned the feature. Sorry if you can hear that chewing sound. That's Sophie in the background. She's really working on a toy back there. But we map these cards back to features or scenarios in our feature file. Oh, we haven't even talked about feature files yet. Sorry, we'll get to that. But these features are how you're describing the thing that you're building, a specific solution to one of the problems that you've identified. And so by mapping your project management cards to features or scenarios within a feature, then you can start to see how much time was being spent on each of those features. So I wrote a little program that does that, that just pulls all of our cards from Monday, maps them to features, and then displays them to me so that I can see, okay, for a full feature, how much time went into that, and I can break that down by developer, and then we can also go into each scenario within that feature and see, okay, how much time was spent on each of these scenarios. So that's effort accounting. And then you can pair that with usage statistics coming from, commonly this would be coming from like Google Analytics, if you're building like a web app kind of a thing, where you can track clicks on a button or page views or any given other event, where you can have a Google tag associated with an event listener. You can track those to see how much are people actually using the features that you've built. And so now you have a view of how much did it cost to build the feature in terms of developer time, and how much is it getting used. So now we're getting a cost per usage, which is it's a pretty good measure to start getting a sense for how well your innovation is working. Are you actually developing valuable things? So that's kind of a nuts and bolts how I am approaching innovation accounting. I'm having to build some of this just software for myself because I don't think people really do this yet, but if anyone sees that out in the world people have built software that does this for you, please drop it in the comments below. That'd be really helpful for me and everyone else. And if the things that I'm building become useful enough to me, then I'll try to make them available to you all too. So thanks, and good to see you. Soph, come on, come here. Come show your face at least once. Good girl. Come on. Good girl. Come on up. Come on. Oh, good girl. Everybody loves Sophie, right? Good girl. She's so intense. No, Henry. My daughter's asleep in the next room. All right, I'll see you guys next time.